I'm going to bring Lou up, but you know, I got a story about Lou first. I'm going to kind of move this over here so I can talk over here. Many, many years ago, Lou was somewhat worried about having too many children. So he went to see the doctor. And he told him, you know, that he was worried about this and what could he do. And the doctor told him of an operation that he could have. But the doctor also told him that it ran $500. Now this was many years ago, obviously, and Lou was poor then. You know, he wasn't wealthy like he is now. So the doctor told him a couple of other things he could do, and so finally the doctor said to him, "Are you Italian?" He says, "Yes." He said, "Are you 100% Italian?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "I'll tell you what I want you to do." He said, "I want you to go home, and I want you to take a napkin and roll it up. Roll it up and get a cherry bomb and stick it in the end and light it, and then count to 10. Lou looked at him, and so he left. He's driving home and he says, "This guy's nuts." You know, at Potts. You know, he says in Italian. Okay? So he goes home and he gets out a phone book. Jody, that was a big book, and it had white pages in the front and yellow pages in the back. He gets out a phone book and he says, he looks in there and he's looking at all the doctors and he picks out another one. He calls, he makes an appointment, he goes in, tells the doctor the same thing. The doctor tells him it's $500, you can't afford this. Doctor says, "You Italian?" "Yeah, 100%, 100%. He says, "I want you to go home, get a napkin, roll it up, put a cherry bomb in there, light it, and count to 10. So Lou leaves. Well, the doctors can both be wrong. I saw their certificates on the wall. He goes home. He gets a napkin. He rolls up the napkin. He puts a cherry bomb on the top. He lights a cherry bomb. And he starts to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Little Sardo. Tony, I want you to know that was one of the funniest tricks I've ever heard. All right. That was funny, though. I can't use it at this association because you guys all heard it. All right, so, hey, first thing I want to do before we get started, Charlie Walser, 30 years this year at ABC Bus. Charlie, we love you. Thanks for the great service for 30 years. Thank you. All right. So anyway, the guy goes. He goes to church, and so after the service, he goes up to the preacher. He tells the preacher, he says, "Would you please pray for my hearing?" And so the preacher puts his hand on his head and he starts praying to the Lord. "Lord, help this man with his hearing." He puts his hands on both ears. He says, "Pray, Lord, Lord, help him with his hearing. Help him." And he told him, he says, "How's your hearing?" And he said, I don't know, it's not until Wednesday." Oh, this is good. This crowd should be fun. I like this time. Anyway, so last night, I dreamt last night that I died and went to heaven and I met God. And God sneezed. I didn't know what to say. That was funny.
I did a comedy, oh boy, that's going to be fun. Anyway, so I did do a comedy routine a couple of weeks ago for the that Helen Hunt Association, it's a non-profit association in San Jose, I think, California. But they're non-profit, and I did a comedy routine for them. And right before I was ready to get up on stage, Helen Hunt actually came to me herself, and she said that she found a pocketbook. It had $64 cash and no ID. It was a small pocketbook. If I wouldn't mind going up and just announcing that, you know, if somebody lost it. So I got up and I told the people, I said, you know, if you lost a little pocketbook with $64 cash, you can go to hell and hunt for it. He's 90 years old. He tells his friend, he says, I'm going to marry a 29-year-old girl. He says, you're 90 years old. You're going to marry a 29-year-old girl? He said, like, that's dangerous. He said, he said, that can cause instant death. He said, well, if she dies, she dies. Anyway, so I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather, he called me over. He said, here's $5. He said, don't tell your mother. I said, it's going to cost you more than that. Do you get it? You know, $5. I thought that was a lot funnier than that laugh. Anyway, okay, so someone asked me one time, they said, do you have a fairy godmother? I said, no, but we're keeping a close eye on my uncle. This guy, I heard this today. Who told me? This is a great joke. And so the guy, he walks in the bar. He walks in the middle of the bar, all these guys around. He says, I've got a 357 Magnum. He said, it's loaded with 6 hollow points. He says, and I want to know who's messing around with my wife. And a guy from the back of the crowd says, you're going to need more ammunition. A little rough, but I told you. I didn't practice a lot. Anyway, so you're going to need more ammunition. That's funny. Anyways, so the guy, this is a true story. A friend of mine, you know, they just had the Category 4 hurricane in Florida, and he was there. My friend was there. I spoke to him on the phone, and they were evacuating because he was at a tourist place, and they were evacuating. Everyone's evacuating. He told me that he wants to stay, and what he was going to do, he wanted to tie himself to a tree to prove a point. He wanted to prove that at 53 years of age, he's in good enough physical shape to withstand a Category 4 hurricane. So I said, oh, all right. I said, you see, it's not that the wind is blowing, it's what the wind is blowing. I mean, if you get hit with a Volvo, no one's going to care how many sit-ups you did that morning. Right. So another friend of mine, he dated a homeless girl. It actually turned out to be a pretty good deal. After the date, he was able to drop her off anyway. Okay. Anyway, so the guys in Las Vegas. He runs down the street in Las Vegas. He runs up to a guy. He says, have you seen a cop? Have you seen a cop? The guy says no. He says, okay, stick him up. So I went to, I did go to my friend's house, and we ate some chicken. It was so good. I don't know what he did. It was so good. I asked him, I said, this is incredible. I said, how do you prepare your chicken? He said, oh, we're right up front. We tell them they're not going to make it from the beginning. That's how we prepare the chicken. Did you hear me over there? Anyway, okay, so, I went to confession when I was a kid. I went to confession, and I go to the confessional, and there's a bottle of whiskey and some cigars. I look, and a priest walks up behind me. He said, hey, kid, you're on the wrong side. So the French guy, the Jewish guy, the Italian guy, they die. They go to heaven, and they're at St. Peter's Gate. St. Peter, he looks in the book. He tells the French guy, he says, you love wine. He said, you drink wine your whole life. As a matter of fact, he said, you love wine so much, you even married a woman named Sherry. He said, you can't come in. I'm sorry, you love wine too much. Next guy, the Jewish guy, he said, shows here you love money. You love money so much, you even married a woman named Penny. He says, I'm sorry, you love money too much, you can't come in. He goes to the Italian guy. The Italian guy says, don't say nothing, I'm leaving. He tells his wife, he says, come on, Fanny. I don't know if I told you guys this ever, but Carter and Bush and Reagan and Clinton, Bill Clinton, they all got caught up in the tornado and they wound up in Oz. And so, you know, they're in Oz, and the Wizard of Oz is there. And the Wizard of Oz says, what can I grant you to Carter? And he says, I need a brain. And he says, I give you a brain. And Bush, he said, what can I grant you? And he says, I need a heart. I give you a heart. And Reagan, what can I grant you? And he said, I need courage. He said, I give you courage. And Bill Clinton's just like looking around. He said, what can I grant you? He said, by any chance, you haven't seen Dorothy, have you? I went to a fire hydrant factory. A fire hydrant factory. There was no parking. I got your dogs, no parking. I threw that party. Anyway, so hey, you know, so what if I can't spell Armageddon? I mean, it's not like it's the end of the world. Anyway, so my friend, for 15 years, he was a bronc rider, 15 years. And he kind of got, he got effects from it. For instance, he told me, like, when he makes love now, his hand goes like this. He was a bronc rider. He was his wife was arguing with him. They were arguing if he actually goes the whole 8 seconds. I'll tell you one thing, she really gets upset about the corner of the room. They got that barrel with the clown in it. Anyway, all right. But the lady, this young guy, this is getting over pretty soon. So the young guy, he's at the convention. He goes in the cocktail lounge just in time to see like this middle-aged lady like falling down drunk. He goes up and he helps her up, and he says, he sees she can't even walk. He says, ma'am, no disrespect intended, but I'm going to help you to your room because you're going to hurt yourself. So she said, well, thank you so much. And so he gets her, and she can't even walk, and he helps her to the elevator up to the 9th floor. They're going down the hallway, and she just stops. She looks at him, and she says, Sonny, young man, she says, you're really passionate. And he said, ma'am, I have no plans for anything except for to get you to your room. And she said, I understand. She said, but you're passionate. It's the room back there. You're passionate. It's the room back there. Yeah. That one like really went through. Complete silence. I'm like, all right, anyway. Delivery. I can't better delivery. All right, so so we're going quick. Oh, the guy. Do you know why I like rice? I like rice to eat. I like to eat rice when I'm really hungry, and I feel like eating 2,000 of something. That wasn't fun. Wait, Tony. Wait. It's over. It's over, Tony. Wait. I got my last joke. All right. So Jesus is up in heaven. He's walking down the gold street there. He sees an old man sitting on the bench. And he looks, and the man really looks sad. And he said, are you okay? And he said, well, I came up here. He said, I was a carpenter on earth. And I had a son. And he was very special, different than any other boy. He said, and I cannot find him. And Jesus looked at him, and his eyes swelled with tears. And he looked at him, and he said, Father? And the old man looked at him, and he said, Pinocchio.